Hey, I'm Brett. So you get your Weebill LAB in the mail. Now what? In this video, we're going to go over all the steps to getting everything set up so you can get right to filming. Special thanks to Zhiyun for sponsoring this video. Once you unpack everything, the first thing you're going to need to do is charge your batteries. Now, quick word of precaution. Only use the batteries and chargers Zhiyun has provided. Third-party batteries could damage your Weebill LAB and possibly void your warranty. Once charged, installing the batteries is really easy. Now, you may have difficulty opening the battery door at first, and one way around this is to use the heel of your hand. Just grab the battery cover, rest your hand up top, and pull back a little bit. Unlike most electronics, the batteries are actually facing in the same direction, which should make it really easy to install these things even if you're doing it in the dark. That's really neat. Before we power this thing on, let's get our camera set up and balanced. Now, this might be familiar to some of you, but things are a little bit different with the Weebill LAB. Now, first things first, let's mount our camera to the 2-in-1 quick release plate. Now, quick tip, if you need to change batteries, swap memory cards, or slap this on a tripod, simply remove the ARCA portion of the plate, and when you're done, put it back on, and you'll be perfectly balanced. Speaking of balance, you'll want to position your camera on the back half of the plate. The bigger your camera and lens setup, the further back you should place your camera on the plate, so as to leave room for balancing later on. Now, balancing your gimbal is absolutely crucial to getting the best experience, footage, and battery life with the Weebill LAB. The goal is to set up your gimbal in a way that you can freely move your camera setup by hand and the position remains as still as possible. Now, you'll also want to set up your camera the way you intend to film. This means removing any lens caps, attaching any cables, or attaching any external accessories like a focus motor. Now let's get started. By locking each axis, we can focus on balancing one section at a time. We'll start with the tilt axis first. Now, anytime you see the weight shift to one side too much, you simply need to shift the weight in the opposite direction. Once you get close, very small adjustments become very important. With the tilt axis, we actually need to make two adjustments. First, we'll shift the camera weight on the plate so it stays level. Then we'll adjust the tilt arm height. If it's too high, it'll have trouble staying upright. If it's too low, it will only stay upright. Perfect. Now we'll lock this axis off and move on to the roll axis. The adjustment knob is found on the bottom of the plate towards the front. If the knobs are getting in the way for whatever reason, you can easily adjust them by pulling down, moving them, and then let go. Pretty cool. Now unlock the roll axis and make your adjustments. Once you're close, you can test it out by rolling your camera left or right and letting go. Now here's a hint. If it falls down too fast on both sides, you may need to make a small adjustment to the height of the tilt arm. Adjusting the pan axis is a little bit different than what you might be used to in the past. First, we'll need to adjust the tilt axis so the camera is pointing a little upward. Simply lock the switch and you'll feel it snap into place. Then roll your gimbal to its side and make your adjustments. Again, test it by moving it and letting it go. You may still need to make an adjustment to the tilt axis here as well. Now it's falling down on both sides too fast here, so we're going to need to raise the tilt height up just a very little bit. And this is where very, very small adjustments come into play. Great! Now that it's balanced as best as possible, let's power this sucker on. Now, quick tip, once it's powered on, if you need to make any adjustments or remove your camera, you can simply enter standby mode by pushing and holding the POV button. Push and hold the POV button again to turn the motors back on. And if you want even more fun, double tap the POV button for vortex mode. Infinite roll, baby. Oh yeah. Now we need to select the proper motor strength setting. To access the menu, press down on the jog dial where you see these three little dots. Scroll with the jog dial to navigate. Wheel is for the focus motor. Joystick gives you various parameter settings for the joystick. Calibrate, you're not going to need to do that often. Now, angle allows you to fine-tune some level adjustments for your camera after you've perfectly balanced your gimbal. And then about gives you firmware information about the Weebill LAB. Let's go back to the motor. Pressing right confirms and goes to the next page. Now, it might be tempting to just set this thing on high and forget about it, but that can lead to jittery footage and increased battery consumption. Having the proper motor strength setting is crucial to having the best experience with any gimbal that you're using. So just simply test out the different motor strength settings. With my A60-300 and 18-105 lens, I can safely use this on the low motor strength setting because I've perfectly balanced my gimbal. And yeah, that's it. We're ready to start shooting. Now there's a whole lot more to cover with the Weebill LAB. In future videos, we're gonna go over connecting your camera, using image transmission. We got some cool creative hidden tricks to share, and we're gonna be diving into the different filming modes with the Weebill LAB. Subscribe and stay tuned, you don't wanna miss it. Oh, and thumbs up down below if you like the vid. Until the next one, I'll see ya.